Another misconception we have is that God has this list of things he doesn't want us to do. Those are sins, right? If we white knuckle all the way through, we want to do these things because they give us pleasure. We enjoy them. You can live a happy life sinning. But if you do that, you're going to wind up in the eternal torture chamber and you're going to burn up for eternity, right? But if you white knuckle your existence through these sins, right? You don't engage in the sins, then God puts you in paradise. That's why people continuously mess up in their sins, because they don't understand that sin in and of itself is a penalty. It is a punishment. People who engage and live in sin are not happy. There's this understanding that goes out, and it's like, if God doesn't exist, then, we're of all people to be pitied. Paul says that, but then something else is slided in there. We're of all people to be pitied because we're not enjoying all the carnal pleasures of sin. We're not enjoying the carnality of sin. I could be sinning right now, and having a much better time. But, if I did that, I'd end up in hell. No, sin in and of itself is a hell for you. You're not going to have a better time. Even if God didn't exist, you'll have a better time in virtue than you will in sin. Now, that's a false dichotomy, because the reason that virtue gives you that kind of benefit is because of God, but regardless, that helps me get to my point. Sin is not a good thing. Sin is not in and of itself a pleasurable thing. It fakes like it's giving you pleasure, but it's a substitute, and it's a bitter substitute. So all those people who engage in sin, right, are miserable. The people who engage in the process of sanctification and following in the will of God are not miserable. That's why you find joy in the Lord. Even when bad things are happening to you, those Christians who fully find fulfillment in Christ find a place of peace and contentment. And then those sinners who have all the carnal pleasures of the world that they could get, that the world could afford, all the money and all the fame in the world, are miserable. Because sin in and of itself is a penalty. So those people who say, when you ask them, what is hell? Like a sinner who you ask, what is hell? And they say, well, hell is now. I'm in hell. They're not actually completely wrong about that. They have taken the steps to the first step away from God is the step into hell, whether you're dead or alive. Right? Just like those people who are taking the steps towards God are experiencing heaven. They're experiencing heaven, not in its fullness. But you don't experience heaven or hell in its fullness. If you think when you get to heaven you'll experience all of heaven in its fullness, you're wrong. That's a good critique comes in from the atheists. They say, well, look, if you get all of heaven, then you're going to get bored. I don't care, because it's eternity, right? It may be great. You may want to be there for 1 trillion years, but after the 2nd trillion year or the 3rd trillion year, you're going to get bored. You'll get used to it. Jim Jeffries said that once in one of his comedic bits. He's right, actually. He's like, I don't care how blissful heaven is. We'll get used to it. We'll get bored, and then it'll be torture. Well, that's again a misconception of heaven. See, to say you get all of heaven when you die and go to heaven is to say that you're going to become God. You're not. God will always be further than you, right? God is an infinite well of blessings. And every day in heaven, you will drink from that infinite well. There'll be a new thing to uncover, a new point of bliss, a new point of joy, a new amazing wonder that God will introduce to you in heaven. That's why it will never get boring. There'll always be something new. Every morning, the mercies of God will be new. The things to uncover will be new. You'll live in infinite bliss because there'll always be a new blessing. In hell, it's the same way. Every day there'll be a new horror. Because in hell, every day you'll step a little further away from God. Just like in your own life, in your own Christian life, every day, if you're walking towards God, there's a new blessing to uncover. We talk about this, right? All the days his blessings are new. There's new mercies bestowed to me. New mercies I see, all I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Right? Great is thy faithfulness. In the path to hell, those people currently walking away from God, there's new horrors. If you're a drug addict, the pain of that addiction each day gets worse and worse and worse. That's the same with sin. That's the same with the path to hell. And when you die, it continues. You'll walk further and further away every day. You won't get all of hell when you die. So when you walk in either direction on this earth, you are walking in the path to heaven or hell. When you die, it's just another step in that direction. Death is not really a leap as it is just another step. You'll step into heaven out of this realm, you'll step into hell, but you've already been well on the path.